and welcome back to another episode of Sports Tingz with me, Brandon Beasley. You know the drill. Shout out to Off the Ball Network. Shout out to all of our sponsors and all that good jazz. It's a great week. So for the past 3 years, Jon Jones has been very inactive in UFC. His last fight was February of 2020. And a lot of people didn't exactly know what he was going to do, if he was going to come back, when he was going to come back, that kind of stuff. Some people had a slight thought that he may retire, but nobody ever knew. But in these past 3 years, Jon Jones has taken it upon himself to put on 45, 50 pounds of pure muscle. And in my opinion, he did it the correct way. He didn't rush. He didn't force anything. He worked with his trainers and just embraced the grind of him putting on all that weight. And while putting on that weight, he has continuously trained in all aspects of his fighting game, clearly, which obviously means that his next fight, March 4th, is going to be at heavyweight. And as most people know, he will be fighting Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane was or is, I think he is the interim heavyweight champion. No. They're fighting for the championship because Francis Ngannou left. Okay. But those 3 years, Jon Jones has just been grinding, keeping himself out of trouble, which, if you know who Jon Jones is, then that's a good thing, because he tends to get very wild, and you never know how that's going to end up. But yeah, like I said, so these past 3 years, he has just been grinding, going up to heavyweight and preparing for the struggle. And I think that's awesome. Now, during those 3 years, Cyril Gane, so Jon Jones's last fight was February of 2020. In August of 2020, Cyril Gane was fighting his third UFC fight. In that fight, in that time span, Cyril Gane has fought Junior Dos Santos, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Alexander Volkov, Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou, and Tai Tuivasa. That is 6 fights in 3 years compared to 0 fights in 3 years. So, in terms of recent experience, Cyril Gane has the advantage. Now, if you want to talk about overall fight experience, I don't think there's anybody more experienced than Jon Jones. I mean, he's the greatest light heavyweight to ever fight, and the youngest champion in UFC history. And I think he also has the most title defenses in UFC history. Jon Jones has only lost 1 fight, and he was dominating that fight. But he got disqualified because of an illegal elbow. Because in the UFC, there's a thing called a 12-6 elbow, which you start, your arm is up 12 o'clock, and you go straight down. And you're not allowed to do that. Now, what's wild is you can turn over and go 6-12, and that's legal. So, whether you think that him getting disqualified was deserved, not deserved, whatever, it happened. But other than that fight, Jon Jones has never lost. Never. And in my opinion, most of his opponents, Jon Jones, are much better than what Cyril Gane has gone up against, minus maybe Francis and those guys. But in the 3 years that Jon Jones was gone, like I said, Cyril Gane has been fighting, and he has gotten better, somewhat. Now, Cyril Gane is he's mostly a kickboxer. He's great. He has great stand-up skills. Okay, he he can kickbox with the best of them, and he's a sniper. He's very accurate on the strikes that he throws, and he's very patient on when he throws and what he throws. Cyril Gane is not, he does not rush in and try to do anything crazy. He's very he's very disciplined in terms of his striking, and also in terms of his defense. His defense is very, very good. Now, one thing we have not seen a lot of from Cyril Gane is ground game. Now, if I remember correctly, so he only has one submission win, and that was his second fight ever against Dontel Mays. It was a heel hook at the end of the fight. Whatever. Now, since then, he has won by decision, TKO, decision, TKO, and TKO. So, if you ask me, I do not believe Cyril Gane has the one-punch knockout power, but that does not mean that Jon can just rush in and be crazy, because he will still get caught, because like I said, Cyril Gane is very, very patient and very he's very responsible in terms of defense, when to counter, when to throw, all that stuff. So, but like I said, Cyril Gane's biggest weakness in my eyes is his ground game. He doesn't get taken to the ground a lot. And when he did get taken to the ground, it only took 2 or 3 times of Francis taking him down and laying on him and holding him. And just the fight from trying to defend the takedown and then getting back up, trying to defend the takedown again, getting back up, getting taken down, and then trying to get up from his back. Cyril Gane gassed out in that fight. At the end of that fight, towards the end of that fight, Francis Ngannou was on top of him, and Francis Ngannou was absolutely exhausted in that fight. The last round and a half, maybe 2 rounds, Francis was exhausted, 1. 2, Francis had, I'm pretty sure, a torn ACL in that fight, and Cyril Gane was getting outworked by a battered, beaten up, tired Francis Ngannou. And if you ask me, that does not bode well for Cyril Gane, because Jon Jones, obviously, Jon Jones' true fighting style is a wrestler. He's a wrestler. That's what he does. He takes people down, he dominates them on the ground, and he gets them out of there. Anybody who's watched any Jon Jones fights knows that Jon Jones likes to take people down and beat them up. But now, let me say this. In the past 48 hours, I have watched all but one of Jon Jones' fights that I could find on the internet. And I've also done the same with Cyril Gane. Cyril Gane's a little harder to find. But in those fights, Jon Jones, you can see there's a lot of patterns with Jon Jones, but they're very effective. And nobody really knows how to stop it. Jon Jones is a great wrestler. And because he's a great wrestler, he knows he's a great wrestler. He likes to, I'm not going to say lull people to sleep exactly, but kind of. A lot of times what Jon Jones does, at least in the beginning of fights, if you've watched Jon Jones fight, in the beginning of fights, he comes down very unorthodox most of the time. As soon as they say fight, Jon Jones is in almost like a bear crawl stance, and he crawls with one hand on the ground towards his opponent. Now, one reason he does that, I think, is because with both your knees on the ground and one hand down, you are considered a down opponent, and the guy you're fighting cannot kick you in the head. Now, I don't think Jon is too worried about getting kicked in the head in that spot. But if you notice, a lot of times, as soon as he's coming out, he may look like he's trying to pounce and strike, but what he's really trying to do is give you a little misdirection and shoot straight for the single leg and take you down. If it works, it works. If he doesn't have it, then he usually stands up and the fight begins like most fights do. Now, I said Jon Jones is a great wrestler, but as we all know, all fights start on the feet. Now, Jon Jones also has great boxing, kickboxing, and I think he may be he's definitely one of the most unique strikers, and I think he is the most versatile striker that Ciryl Gane has ever gone against. Because other than Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou, obviously, but Francis Ngannou is much more power than finesse moves and technique and that kind of stuff. Francis will just overpower you and beat the hell out of you because he's stronger than you. Now, Jon Jones, on the other hand, he will most times in Jon Jones fights, he uses the first round to usually gauge at what he's going on how he's going to attack his opponent. Now, during that first round, most people in fights, when at the beginning or something like that, they try to find their range. And what that means is a lot of people will throw a jab, try to just gauge where their opponent's at, how they're going to react from where they're at, from the distance that they're at. Or will they be able to connect easily? Or are they going to have to maybe take a step in? All that kind of stuff. And most people, including Ciryl Gane, do that with a jab. It's all mostly jabs. Now, what's different about Jon Jones, he does not do it with jabs. He does it with a front leg side kick to the thigh. So Jon Jones' stance, most times when he comes out first, he's in orthodox, which is right-handed. And so he will take his lead leg, which would be his left leg, and just kick right above the knee. Right above the knee, which is very painful because it hyperextends your leg. But that's how Jon Jones finds his range. And once he gets that, then he'll start slowly incorporating his other techniques. And now, those techniques, most of the time, will be striking at the beginning. And once Jon Jones thinks he's ready, he'll take you down and he'll try to beat the hell out of you. And that's Jon Jones to a T. But it's very fun to watch. In terms of weaknesses of Jon Jones, in this particular fight, I think Ciryl Gane is going to test his endurance early. So I would not be surprised to see Ciryl come out quick and try to put a pace on him. But I don't believe that will last too long, because I think that Jon will touch him up every time he tries to come in, and then they will settle back down. In terms, a big question, a big question going into tonight's fight, or not tonight, Saturday's fight. Sorry. Um, is Jon Jones going to be rusty? Most people, when you take 3 years off of your sport, and it doesn't matter how much practice you do, how much five on, like in terms of basketball, if a guy sits out for 3 years, it doesn't matter how much he practices, how much he's playing 5 on 5, all that stuff. Nothing compares to the real thing. So, like I said, in basketball, if a guy takes off 3 years and then you throw him into the biggest game of his life, there is a 95% chance that he is going to struggle. He is going to struggle. So, how rusty do I think Jon Jones is going to be? I think that the first round is where I'd say at most, the first 2 rounds is where we will see the rust in Jon Jones. We will see how rusty he is, and we'll probably see him knock off that rust in real time during the fight. I don't know exactly where he might be rusty. The only thing I could think of, if I'm Cyril Gahn, when I come out, the first thing I do is try to put some speed on Jon Jones and see how he reacts. Will he be able to keep up with Cyril Gahn's speed? Will he be able to keep up with just the quick twitch movements and all that stuff? If he can't, then I think Cyril Gahn is going to pick him apart because, like I said, he's a sniper. And Cyril Gahn, if you let him, will sit on the outside and touch you up and hit you with a bomb every once in a while, but he will avoid danger. And if he does that, then I can see where Cyril Gahn could take at least 2 rounds. But we'll see. In terms of the fight itself, not the past fights of either guy, in terms of the real fight with Cyril Gahn versus Jon Jones. The very first round is going to be what I think is going to happen. I think the very first round is going to be very slow pace. There's going to be a lot of feints and measure up type stuff, maybe even some fake level changes, just so each guy can gauge where the other guy's at. And the thing is, Jon Jones knows that Cyril Gahn likes to sit on the outside and almost lull people to sleep with his little kicks and touches and all that stuff. I think Jon Jones is disciplined enough to where he won't get lulled to sleep. I think there's a chance that in this first round, Jon Jones almost plays into Cyril Gahn a little bit, so he makes him think that he's lulling him to sleep. And I think that they do that for quite literally the entire first round. Because when you go back and you watch, like I said, within the past 48 hours, I've watched every single Jon Jones fight. And I don't think that there's a single fight where, at least for the first few minutes of the first round, most of the time it takes him, he uses the entire first round of a 5-round fight to just kind of measure up. So I think that that's exactly what's going to happen. I think Jon Jones is going to use that first round to kind of measure distance and kind of mental stuff, just so he knows what he needs to do moving on into the fight, so he doesn't get surprised or anything like that. I think because Jon Jones is a very smart man, and I think during that first round he will do a lot of stuff in his head, just kind of deciding how he's going to take the fight. Now we have seen that Jon Jones will continue to just kind of slowly, methodically take his opponent around the ring. Not really being super aggressive. He will throw, and it will be a lot of unorthodox type strikes that he throws, and just to see how Cyril Gane reacts. But once you get, if I had to guess, like I said, Jon Jones will probably use the entire first round to just kind of measure up all that stuff. Maybe even shake a little of the rust off, shake some of the nerves, whatever. Once you get into that second round, I'd say about halfway through the second round, Jon Jones is going to start looking to attack a little bit. Maybe not be super aggressive, but he's going to continue his feints and all that good stuff. Now, the thing with Cyril Gane is he is very used to being able to move in and out and just kind of touch people up when he comes in and then back out. And when he backs out, he'd be out of reach. The thing with Jon Jones is Cyril Gane's out of reach for Cyril Gane is not going to be out of reach for Jon Jones. And this is going to present some very interesting situations for both fighters because, like I said, they're both very, very patient. They are both very, very patient fighters. I think Jon Jones knows that Cyril Gane likes to kick, and he's very good at timing kicks, like timing when his opponent is going to kick, and attacking and taking down off of that. So, the first round, they're going to do the adjustments, probably even a little through the second round. And then they'll start throwing. I don't see any crazy takedown attempts in the second round, but there is a possibility. If Cyril Gane throws a kick even slightly lazy and Jon Jones reads it, Jon Jones is going to catch it. And as soon as he catches Cyril Gane's foot, he's going to lift it up and he is going to kick out Cyril Gane's other foot, and that's when he will take him down. If Jon Jones gets in this position, I don't think there's anything Cyril Gane's going to be able to do. Cyril Gane, I heard in an interview the other day that he said that he believes he's going to be stronger than Jon Jones. And as much as it may seem that Jon Jones isn't a super strong guy, he has a Greco-Roman background in wrestling, which deals a lot with controlling up the upper body of your opponent. So he will stick to that one. Two, you got to remember Jon Jones is not 205 pounds anymore. He's going to be 245, 250. And that's a lot of muscle. Jon Jones was already underratedly strong. If you watch some of his fights, like with Daniel Cormier, Daniel Cormier is one of the stronger dudes in the UFC. And he's not the biggest in terms of height, but he's very solid, he's very strong. And because Jon Jones fought Daniel Cormier twice. And in those fights, anytime he really wanted to, Jon Jones kind of ragdolled him. And so I think Cyril Gane is going to be very surprised by the strength of Jon Jones. And I think once Jon Jones takes him down, either in the second round, towards the end, or the middle, from the middle to the end of the second round, I think there's a chance that Jon Jones takes him down. Now, another thing Jon Jones likes to do, just to kind of, because who knows, he's an athlete, whatever. If he does not take him down in that second round, with probably, I'd say 5 seconds left, there's been multiple fights where Jon Jones will literally just jump, grab the dude, pull him guard. Almost to be like, hey, if I really want to, like, there's nothing you can do. I'm taking you wherever I want to take you. So that'll be interesting to watch. If he doesn't, I think the third round is going to be where a lot of the action is going to happen. Now, like I just said, they're both very, very patient. So when the third round starts, they're going to come out, they're going to do their circling, and Cyril Gane's game plan in almost every fight is to touch him, and if an opportunity to really rock a guy does not present itself, he will sit back and just keep touching and try to win by points. Now, that's very predictable for Jon Jones because Jon Jones knows exactly what to do in those situations. Like I said, he's probably going to grab the foot, kick it out. If he doesn't catch a kick, at some point, he will make Ciryl Gane miss on one of his strikes, and then that's when he'll shoot for the takedown. Now, once he shoots for the takedown, we're going to learn a lot about Ciryl Gane. We're going to learn a lot about how much he's actually been practicing his defense in terms of takedown defense and what he's done, what he can do off of his back. Because in previous fights, when like against Francis, when Ciryl got taken down, there was no offense off of his back. And if you don't throw any offense off your back against Jon Jones, he is going to, you can have him in guard, it doesn't matter. He will sit in your guard and he will put both of his forearms right here on you. So your arms are kind of pinned back, and he will just start throwing bows. Because that's what Jon Jones does. Jon Jones is known for his nasty elbows. And if Ciryl Gane gets hit with one or two of them and still can't get up, the fight's going to be over real quick after that. Now, do I think that's how that's going to go? There is a chance. But John's not going to rush it. So there's another possibility is going to be that they stay standing up the whole third round as well. It's going to be much more active than the first two because they're both going to think that they have gauged what the other guy's going to do in situations and all that stuff. So there will be a lot more action in the third round. If Jon Jones doesn't attempt a takedown in the third round or the second round or the first round or whatever, you can guarantee in that fourth round, Jon Jones is going to, at some point, get Ciryl Gane on his back. And I'm not sure how Cyryl's going to respond to that, honestly. I think that Jon Jones will eventually just pound him out, and that'll be it, honestly. I don't see this fight going 5 rounds. I don't. If it does, I would be surprised, but it'll be a great fight. A lot of people, Ciryl Gane, both fighters have never knocked anybody out off of one punch. I heard in an interview with Jon Jones the other day that he's been one punch knocking out guys in training camp. Now, I don't know exactly. Nobody actually knows that that's true except the guys that are there. He could be saying this just to kind of put the idea in the back of Cyryl's mind, like, hey, he could knock me out. But the chances of an early first round knockout I'd say are slim to none, honestly. I do. I really don't think that either guy is going to knock the other guy out with one punch. Because one thing we know about Jon Jones is that he can take a fucking hit. It doesn't matter who it is. The only guy that we could question that would definitely knock Jon Jones out is Francis Ngannou, and he's not in the UFC right now. So the chances of an early knockout, to me, are very, 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 very slim. Now, the way I think that this fight is actually going to go, I think Jon Jones is going to absolutely dominate Ciryl Gane. He's going to walk through him like I think Ciryl Gane is going to is about to meet the match of a lifetime. I don't think he will ever fight somebody better than Jon Jones. And I don't think he'll ever beat Jon Jones. So I say that to say this. I think Jon Jones is going to win the fight. If I had to predict when and how, I would say 4th round by TKO because he's just been beating him up with bows. Bows, knees, all that stuff. That's how I see the fight going. And yeah, I'm really excited about it, honestly. I really am. I know that most of this has been about this fight because It's a big thing. It's a big thing I wanted to talk about on this episode. But yeah. So like I said, to conclude, Jon Jones versus Cyril Gane, UFC 285. It's gonna be a great fight. Mark my words here. Jon Jones is gonna win by TKO in the 4th round. Okay. All right. So there's a couple other things I want to talk about, not UFC, and then we'll get out of here. So NBA. I saw a stat the other day that said when Nikola Jokic has a triple-double, the Denver Nuggets are 24-0. That stat by itself tells me Nikola Jokic MVP. He is the best player on the best team, and he also has the most impact on the best team in the league. I think technically by record the best team is the Bucks, but you get my point. So, ow. Fuck. There's been multiple, I don't know what I'm saying. Charles Barkley. Okay, I saw a thing with Charles Barkley. I think it was him. Whatever. It was somebody on TV said that Nikola Jokic is stat padding. Oh, it was Kendrick Perkins. I'm sorry. Kendrick Perkins said that Nikola Jokic was stat padding, and JJ Redick went on this big thing defending Nikola Jokic, and I 100% agree with JJ Redick. Nikola Jokic does not care about stats. He does not care about winning MVP. All he wants to do is win a chip. And the fact that he has won MVP the past 2 years and has not even made the NBA Finals has to be, I bet it's killing Nikola on the inside. So it'll be fun to see how much more Nikola Jokic takes over in big time moments for the rest of the season. Because let's see, it's beginning of March. So we got about a month and a half left of the regular season before the NBA Finals or the playoffs. And yeah, it'll be very fun to watch what the Denver Nuggets do. All right. My last point, my last talking point here is the Los Angeles Lakers. We all know they made trades. We all know that they upgraded. They got rid of Russ, brought in D'Lo, Malik Beasley, all those guys. Now, the problem is LeBron James, the GOAT, is out for, they said the other day that he was going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks, but I read a thing recently, like today, that said that he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. I said there's about a month and a half left in this season. That's almost a full month. So if the Lakers were in a spot where we were guaranteed to make the playoffs, I would say let LeBron sit, let him fully recover, and let him come back for the playoffs. But what we have seen out of this Lakers team is, one, Anthony Davis is not the same guy he used to be. He's not the offensive player he used to be. He's not the defensive player he used to be. He's a frail 80-year-old woman in a 6'11" basketball player's body. That's what it seems like sometimes. He gets hurt so often. So what I would like to see out of this Lakers team while LeBron's out is them trying to get Anthony Davis re-engaged into the offense. Try to bring that dog back out of him. I don't know if that's possible, but that would be their best chance of doing anything in the playoffs, if they can even get there. Now, I love the additions of D'Lo, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Mo Bamba. Love Mo Bamba? Maybe not. Like Mo Bamba? Yes. So, Jared Vanderbilt brings very, very versatile defense to this team, which is something we were lacking. And it'll also take a lot of the defensive load off of, say, a LeBron. Maybe not an AD so much, because Jared Vanderbilt isn't 6'11", but he can guard just about every position. So it'll be fun to see how we keep him in the lineup. What I hope happens is after these 3 weeks, LeBron comes back and we make a run in the playoffs and then see what happens. Because all I want, all I'm asking, NBA gods, all I'm asking is to give us a shot in the dance. Because as everyone knows, once you get in, anything can happen. Anything can happen. So I'm just really hoping for the Lakers to get a shot in the dance. I know I haven't talked a lot of basketball recently, and I'm sorry about that, but it'll keep coming. I'm going to be diving in deep on a couple of teams just to see what I can find and stuff like that. So the basketball talk is not going away. I really wanted to. Jon Jones is one of my favorite UFC fighters ever, so I really wanted to touch on his return and my thoughts on it and all that good stuff. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Once again, shout out Off the Ball Network. Go follow Off the Ball Network on Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Follow me on Instagram, Brandon_Beasley. Follow me on Twitter, Brandon_Beasley. All that good stuff. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Till next time. Appreciate it.